I want to say something about my mama. Your mama dead as Your mama dead as Go dig her up. Go dig her up.
Stop scrolling. Because when Boosie goes off, it's never a polite disagreement. It's a cultural earthquake with surround sound. A controversy erupted involving remarks tied to 50 Cent's late mother. And before the timeline could even breathe, Boosie stepped in like a self-appointed guardian of hip-hop etiquette. And now, the internet is divided like it's election night. This isn't just rap rivalry. This is legacy. This is respect. This is some lines you don't cross energy. Because when family gets mentioned, especially someone who's no longer here, the temperature doesn't rise slowly. It spikes instantly. And Boosie, oh, he didn't whisper his thoughts. He delivered them with the volume turned all the way up. Now fans are debating codes, loyalty, generational boundaries, and whether hip-hop still has unwritten rules. Was it misunderstood humor? Was it taken out of context? Or did Boosie just draw a bold red line in the sand? One reaction just flipped the narrative upside down. All right, let's slow this down and really unpack how this escalated from a few circulating remarks to a full-blown culture clash. Because this wasn't just random gossip floating through the algorithm. This was one of those moments where hip-hop pride, legacy, and public perception collided at high speed. Controversial comments tied to 50 Cent's late mother began circulating online. And almost immediately, people reacted emotionally. Whether those remarks were intended as humor, sarcasm, shade, or something taken out of context, the impact hit hard. And in hip-hop culture, impact often matters more than intent. Family is sacred territory. You can critique albums. You can joke about fashion. You can roast someone's business moves. But once family enters the frame, especially someone who has passed, the room changes. It stops being playful and starts being personal. And that shift is exactly what the internet felt. Clips spread like wildfire. Comment sections filled up fast. Some viewers argued that the outrage was excessive and that people were reacting without full context. Others insisted that certain topics simply shouldn't be joked about at all, no matter the backstory. The debate wasn't quiet. It was loud, emotional, and relentless. And then Boosie stepped in. Now, when Boosie speaks, it's rarely neutral. He doesn't ease into conversations. He enters with conviction. So when he addressed the controversy, it wasn't a light opinion. It was direct. It was firm. And it immediately amplified the situation. He made it clear, in his view, that certain lines shouldn't be crossed. That statement alone changed the energy. Because now it wasn't just fans arguing in comment sections. It was an established voice in hip-hop culture publicly drawing a boundary. And when a peer draws a boundary, it carries weight. The timeline split almost instantly. One side praised Boosie for defending what they called basic respect. They argued that hip-hop may be competitive and aggressive, but it still operates under unwritten codes. Respect the dead. Keep family out of it. Those principles have long been part of the culture. The other side pushed back. They questioned whether the remarks were being interpreted too harshly. They argued that humor doesn't always translate well in clipped formats and that outrage can snowball before context is fully understood. To them, this felt like another example of social media escalating something prematurely. And here's where it gets layered. Intent and impact aren't the same thing. Someone might intend sarcasm, but if the impact feels disrespectful, the backlash doesn't wait for clarification. It responds to emotion. And emotion travels faster than explanation online. Boosie's reaction poured gasoline on an already heated discussion. Instead of fading into the background, the controversy intensified. Reaction channels began breaking down his words. Was he defending a code? Was he inserting himself into drama? Was he protecting legacy? The interpretations varied, but the attention was undeniable. The generational angle added another layer of complexity. King Harris being part of the conversation brought age and experience into the debate. Some framed it as youthful energy misjudging the gravity of certain topics. Others argued that accountability isn't age-specific. If you step into public spaces, you inherit public consequences. Meanwhile, T.I.'s presence in the conversation added a veteran perspective. He's long been viewed as a cultural voice in hip-hop, someone who speaks on values and community. So when controversy brushes against those themes, the scrutiny intensifies. People don't just react to the moment, they evaluate it against past statements and reputation. And then there's 50 Cent's legacy hovering over everything, even without an immediate response. His name carries history. His story, his public persona, his cultural impact, all of that adds emotional weight. So when the topic of his late mother enters the discussion, reactions aren't casual. They're protective. Memes flooded timelines quickly. Some depicted Boosie as the code enforcer, stepping in like a referee during a heated game. Others joked that hip-hop needed a printed rulebook to prevent future controversies. The humor softened the edges slightly, but the debate underneath remained intense. The controversy expanded beyond individuals. It became about culture, about where boundaries exist in modern rap, about whether generational shifts have changed what's considered acceptable. Fans weren't just arguing about one comment anymore, they were arguing about the evolution of hip-hop itself. Timing played a crucial role. Boosie's reaction arrived while the remarks were still trending. Instead of calming the situation, it reignited it. The topic climbed back to the top of discussions, and new audiences joined the debate. Right now, we're in that suspenseful pause before the next development. Will there be clarification? Will there be further commentary? Or will silence allow speculation to continue expanding? If you thought the temperature was already high, this is where it started boiling over. Because once Boosie's reaction hit the timeline, it didn't just spark debate, it triggered a cultural autopsy. Everybody suddenly became a historian, a moral philosopher, and a hip-hop code analyst all at once. Reaction channels wasted no time. Clips of Boosie speaking were reposted with captions like, "He said what needed to be said." Others framed it as unnecessary escalation. You had breakdown videos longer than the original remarks themselves. Tone was analyzed. Volume was measured. Facial expressions were studied like we were reviewing courtroom footage. And then the memes leveled up. Some crowned Boosie the unwritten rule commissioner. Others joked that rap needs a constitution with footnotes and amendments. One viral tweet said, "We need a hip-hop HR department at this point." The humor was wild, but the engagement numbers were even wilder. The conversation expanded fast. It wasn't just about the specific remarks anymore. It became a debate about where hip-hop draws its boundaries in 2026. Has shock value become the default? Are older codes outdated? Or are certain principles timeless? That's where the generational tension started flaring. Supporters of G.I. and King Harris argued that hip-hop has always thrived on boldness. They pointed to decades of diss tracks and controversial bars. They said outrage culture is quick to react without full context. To them, the internet amplified something that may have been misunderstood. Meanwhile, those backing Boosie doubled down. They insisted that rivalry doesn't require dragging sensitive history into it. That even in competitive rap, there are topics that should remain untouched. They framed his reaction not as drama, but as defense of cultural respect. And here's where it gets layered. This controversy became less about individuals and more about legacy. Because 50 Cent's name carries weight. His history is public. His story is known. So when controversy intersects with that history, emotions intensify. It stops being abstract and starts feeling personal to fans. Boosie's stance amplified that protective energy. By speaking so directly, he positioned himself as someone drawing a moral boundary. Whether people agreed or disagreed, the clarity of his position made it impossible to ignore. And clarity in controversy is powerful. Reaction videos multiplied overnight. Some creators praised Boosie for defending what they called basic human decency. Others accused him of inserting himself into a situation that could have cooled off naturally. The takes were contradictory, but one thing was clear: the conversation wasn't shrinking. It was growing. And then came the optics discussion. People began questioning how this moment impacts public image. T.I. has long spoken about values and leadership in hip-hop. So critics asked whether this controversy conflicts with that image. Supporters countered that context matters and that quick judgment is unfair. King Harris's role continued fueling generational debate. Some framed it as youthful boldness misreading the room. Others argued that stepping into public discourse means accepting public consequences. The accountability conversation kept resurfacing like a chorus. The silence from key players added suspense. No immediate detailed breakdown. No extended clarification addressing every angle. That silence became its own narrative. Online, silence doesn't calm things, it creates anticipation. And anticipation builds pressure. Memes kept evolving. Some joke that hip-hop now has a line you don't cross hotline. Others sarcastically compared the situation to reality TV reunion specials where someone finally calls out behavior. The humor kept the topic trending, but beneath it, the debate remained serious. The controversy also sparked reflection on how quickly narratives form online. A few circulating remarks turned into a full cultural debate within hours. That speed is both impressive and alarming. Social media doesn't allow space for nuance. It compresses events into viral moments. And once a moment goes viral, perception solidifies. Right now, perception is divided. For some, Boosie is defending legacy and respect. For others, he's escalating something that might have been resolved. Quietly, T.I. and King Harris are either seen as pushing boundaries too far or being misunderstood in a clipped format. Polarization fuels engagement, and engagement keeps stories alive longer than they naturally might last. Every new reaction breathes more life into the controversy. Every debate thread stretches the narrative further. The bigger question hovering over everything is this: where does modern hip-hop draw its boundaries? Has the culture shifted, or are certain principles timeless? That's the conversation bubbling beneath the surface of all the memes and reaction videos. Right now, we're in a holding pattern. The initial remarks sparked backlash. Boosie amplified it. The internet escalated it. And now everyone is watching for what comes next. Now we're in the part of the saga where the noise settles just enough for consequences to start forming. Because controversy doesn't just trend, it leaves fingerprints. It reshapes perception. It adjusts reputations. And once that shift happens, it's hard to rewind the narrative. Boosie's reaction positioned him clearly in the eyes of many fans. For supporters, he became the voice of "Don't cross that line," someone unafraid to speak when cultural boundaries feel blurred. That clarity strengthened his image with a specific audience. When you plant your flag firmly, people either salute it or challenge it, but they definitely see it. For T.I., the situation feels layered. He's long been regarded as a veteran presence in hip-hop, someone who speaks about growth, community, and legacy. So when controversy touches on sensitive themes, the scrutiny intensifies. Fans don't just look at the moment. They compare it to past statements. They evaluate consistency. And consistency is currency in public life. King Harris adds another dimension entirely. The generational angle hasn't faded. If anything, it's sharper now. Some viewers frame this as youthful boldness clashing with established norms. Others argue that stepping into the spotlight means inheriting its expectations. In the court of public opinion, age doesn't grant immunity. Then there's the invisible but powerful presence of 50 Cent's legacy hovering over everything, even without direct participation. His story adds emotional gravity to the debate. When legacy is involved, fans react protectively. They don't treat it as casual commentary. They treat it as something that carries historical weight. The ripple effect is real. Future interviews will likely reference this moment. Future debates about boundaries in hip-hop may circle back to it. That's how digital memory works. It bookmarks incidents and brings them back when similar topics arise. And perception, once formed, doesn't evaporate overnight. Right now, some viewers see Boosie as defending principle. Others see him as amplifying drama. Some view T.I. and King Harris as crossing a line. Others believe the reaction was disproportionate. These interpretations are solidifying in real time. What makes this fascinating is how quickly a few remarks transformed into a cultural referendum. The internet doesn't allow quiet reflection. It demands instant reaction. And once reaction becomes collective, it shapes identity narratives. Artists aren't just judged on music anymore. They're judged on moments. The silence from key players now carries its own weight. When no detailed clarification immediately follows controversy, anticipation builds. People refresh feeds waiting for a response. They analyze unrelated posts for hidden meaning. They interpret captions that may not even be connected. That suspense fuels engagement. This moment also exposed a larger tension in hip-hop culture. Is the genre evolving beyond traditional codes? Or are those codes still deeply embedded? That debate won't end with this controversy. It's bigger than one incident. It's about cultural evolution versus cultural preservation. And here's the reality. Controversies tied to respect rarely disappear without residue. They linger in fan conversations. They resurface in future rivalries. They become shorthand references. Even if tensions cool publicly, the narrative bookmark remains. Reputation is shaped by patterns. If this becomes an isolated moment, it may fade into the archives. But if similar controversies arise, this will be cited as precedent. That's how public memory operates. It connects the dots across time. What happens next determines everything. A clarification could ease tensions. A rebuttal could escalate them. Silence could let the controversy slowly dim. But unpredictability is the only constant in modern rap culture. Right now, we're in that suspenseful waiting period. The initial spark ignited. Boosie amplified. The internet dissected. And now the culture watches, because when rivalry energy collides with legacy, it doesn't just create noise. It creates impact. And impact, once felt, doesn't vanish. Now I need you in that comment section immediately. Was Boosie right to speak up? Or did this whole situation get amplified beyond what it should have been? Are there still real boundaries in hip-hop? Or has shock value completely taken over the culture? Drop your honest take, not the safe one. I want real opinions, real breakdowns, real debates. Because this isn't just about one moment. This is about legacy, respect, rivalry, and how the culture moves in 2026. If you appreciate commentary that doesn't tiptoe around the heat, smash that like button like it owes you money. Don't tap it gently, press it with purpose. Let the algorithm know we're not here for watered down takes. And make sure you subscribe with notifications turned all the way on. Because drama in this space doesn't send invitations. It erupts. And when it does, we're already here connecting the dots before the timeline even catches up. Around here, we don't just repeat headlines. We break down impact. We analyze perception. We question narratives. And if there's a response, a rebuttal, or another twist in this saga, you already know it's getting this